Far away. How do you sum up, I guess, what changed and why at half-time, just before half-time?
Contest and clearance. Plain and simple. I thought, for a team, Gold Coast, that are really strong in that area, and then also play a front half game from that. We took that away from them in the first quarter and a half, and then couldn't sustain it. Plain and simple.
Is there a middle ground there? It was almost like whoever won that first touch, it was it.
Spot on. Yeah. I think you're exactly right. The ability to be able to, if you can't win it, you halve it, or you do whatever you can to scrap and make it as hard as possible for the opposition. And we didn't do that enough. So when they got ascendancy, which was really disappointing.
I guess despite losing those clearances, being that third quarter was camped in there, would you like to have seen a bit more, whether it's from the defensive unit or someone to fight back? Because it felt like it was just a tidal wave almost that.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And I think the ability to, if you can't get it done around the ball at times, you need to be able to cover that in other areas. And they went at 67% scoring per inside 50. So when they're having a lot of inside 50s and scoring really efficiently, we need to fight for longer. That's now our job. We've got to make sure that we get the players back to doing that.
From an on-field leadership perspective in that third term, when it was starting to turn their way, is there a designated on-field leader that is trying to send that message out there amongst that midfield group?
Yeah, I think, the dialogue between, obviously, box bench players is continual all the way throughout the game. And then with those moments, it's, you want your leaders and people to identify if we're 1-4, 1-3, 1-4, 1-5, what's happening. All right, maybe we just got to squash this down for a bit. Maybe we've got to take a bit of the sting out of the game and not give them ascendancy in this area that they're so strong at. So, we need to make sure that, we need to, first of all, give the players the licence to do that, and then for them to execute as well. So that's something that we'll work through heavily this week.
Is it a worry that that's happened this week after, Chad saying a couple of days ago how much faith he had in the club, and it was obviously a big day getting his signature? Or is that a concern that what you saw out there today in terms of just the lack of response?
Yeah, I think the concern probably all year has been inconsistency. I think the week before, the second half against Port Adelaide, exactly the same, just flipped this week. So, the ability to be able to put your foot down as hard as you possibly can when you've got ascendancy, but then stop it. At the minute, that's something that, we've got to be really hard on each other and with the players about to make sure that doesn't happen as often.
How do you fix that consistency? 2-5 now, third way through the season. How do you stop the season from slipping away before you can actually get a grasp on it?
Put time into it. We've got to work hard through it. And that comes with a review, that comes with our training, and comes with trying to, certainly it's not a 1 week fix. For us, it's about trying to make sure that for the next block, we're going to improve. And the results will come off the back of it. When they do, who knows, but we're not going to shy away from it. We're going to work our way through it.
Have you got enough depth in your midfield, Dean? Because it felt like you kept Brown quiet and Anderson were pretty quiet, but they felt like they had a few more numbers contributing.
Yeah, I think through the middle you had McInerney, Rowbottom, Heaney, Warner, Jordan. So there's enough numbers that go through there. First half they were really good, second half they got beaten. And probably Gold Coast might say the same. For the first quarter and a half we were beaten, but to their credit they responded. And when they come at us, we didn't respond the way we needed to.
Any word on the severity of Ben Patton?
It's a tight calf. Yeah, so that's all we know at the minute. Just couldn't run at full speed, so we had to make the decision.
Do you have a timeline on Logan McDonald or where he's at the moment?
No, not yet. So he met with a specialist last week. We'll get second and third opinions about that and try and work out the severity or time frame or the approach we take from here. So he won't be back in the near future though.
Dean, just with the ruck battle and the way it's policed, there's a lot of confusion there in the first half. Both blokes looking up. Is that? Do you reckon that is there room to work on that? Is it clear and transparent? You're more qualified than me to address that, but it seems like it's a bit of an unknown.
Yeah, I think it's just because of the way the new rules are, they've turned it into a bit of a ball up or around the ground stoppage. So protecting space is an easy thing to do now. If an opponent can't get to the ball, it's always been a free kick and should get paid that way. So, yeah, I'd like to see it, a few people jump.
Bit of a ruck battle to get a reward the craft still.
Yeah, I think that's what you need to do, and probably not as much at centre bounce, but as long as we ask our players to be really predictable, get it to an area of the circle as often as they possibly can, so our mids can go to work. It's not about doing too many trick plays in there.
Have you you're still clearly tinkering with the forward line, even though it probably wasn't the main problem area today? What would you think about? You played Laddams there, and then you threw Blakey forward in the last quarter and had a little bit of success. What are your thoughts on that forward mix, I guess? Yeah, ideally I don't want to have to keep changing it around. But at times you need to spark players to get them into the game or give something different. And that's something we'll always talk about. That was the end result of what happened through the middle of the ground. So, that's an area we need to fix first. Great.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.